Welcome to Smalltalk Daily for Wednesday, December 30th, 2009. This morning I'd like to take a look at the settings tool, not so much to go through the settings, but to show you something that you can do to better protect settings for your applications. Let's go ahead and open the settings tool up and take a look at here. What you can do for applications is reuse the entire settings framework and build your own settings tool and then go ahead and use its framework to save and restore settings. The difficulty is this. By default, when I save settings, and I'll save this to VW1, and now let's open up VW1. You notice that it's saved in XML, but more importantly, it's saved in a completely in the clear format. Now, for your settings for your work environment, that's probably okay, although there is the possibility of saving HTTP proxy passwords, FTP passwords, database passwords, and the like in there. But in all likelihood, that's test stuff and doesn't matter that much. What I'm going to do is show you how to add encryption to the default settings tool, which also applies to adding to your own settings stuff that you may have subclassed from that. So to get started, what we're going to do is load a package. We're going to go to the parcel manager. We're going to go over here to directories. We're going to scroll down to the contributed section, find encrypted settings, and we're going to go ahead and load that. Now once that's in, let's take a look at what it adds. So we scroll down. We find encrypted settings. It adds some code to settings domain. It overrides read from and write to look to see if you've got encrypted stuff. If you've got cipher set, it'll go ahead and use it. So the idea here is that in a subclass, you would override this method, cipher, to go ahead and add encryption so that when it read from your code or wrote to your settings file, it would use your cipher code. So let's go ahead and add a parcel. I've already written an example that overrides the base system. So we'll go ahead and do that to just show the example. So I've gone ahead and I've created a small example that will encrypt the base settings. This is probably not the way you want to do this. You want to do this in a subclass, but this is useful for an example. So we'll go ahead and load that. We'll go to the browser and we'll see what I did. So we'll find settings cipher down here. And in here you'll see that I've got some code that sets up my encryptor in this initialize method using a key, an IV, and sets up an encryptor. I've done other screencasts on encryption code, so I'm not going to go through this stuff in detail right here. Suffice to say that I've overridden the cipher method and told it to use the setting cipher's default instance and grab the encryptor and use that to either encrypt or decrypt, depending on whether we're writing or reading. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and open the settings tool again. And now we'll right click and we'll do a save. And instead of VW1, we'll say VW2. And now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and open VW2. And you notice that now it's a bunch of gibberish because instead of the plain XML in the clear, we've encrypted the whole thing. And now if you're shipping an application with your own subclassed settings framework code and you wanted to make sure that was all protected, you would do exactly what I did here, only instead of overriding the cipher method in the same settings domain class, you would override it in your subclass and let it do all the work there. So that's about it for today. Until next time, have fun with Smalltalk.